Good morning, everyone. Today we are planning on doing a couple things. Yeah, we might see Moana today, which for some reason we haven't seen already. I don't know how. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, I'm just going to do some chores and stuff really quickly, and then hopefully we'll go out and see that. Okay, so we're about to leave for the movies, which I'm super duper duper excited about. Me and Cooper, I'm sitting in the back seat so I can hang out with him a little bit. But yeah, we're heading out to Moana, which I'm super duper excited about. Cooper, are you ready to see Moana?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I'm really excited to head out. It's really windy today though, so we'll probably talk more inside. We won't like talk on the walk home or whatever. Well, we're not walking there, but on the walk to the car from the movie theater. But yeah, I'll see you when we're inside the movie theater.
Buckle?
Right, Cooper?
No buckle.
No, that's a crime. Okay, so we just saw Moana and it was absolutely amazing, and there was a stinger, which I looked up. So it's starting to fade out of theaters, so if you haven't seen the stinger, then you should go and see it. But yeah, it was super duper cool, and I really enjoyed it. It was gorgeous. I looked it up, and they use Autodesk Maya, which I hope might get one day and mess around with, because I've been getting a lot more into 3D modeling and animation. And this is definitely a really, really gorgeous 3D animated movie. Oh yeah, and Lin-Manuel Miranda did all the music for the movie, which was super duper cool, and he even sung in a couple of the songs, which was super duper cool, because I really love Lin-Manuel, because he is just like an amazing songwriter, and like everything in that movie definitely gave off me a vibe, and I could tell he made it. But yeah, it was so good. I'm really glad that I saw it now, even though I didn't see it for a while after it came out. I'm really glad that I saw it now. Cooper, what did you think?
Scary.
We had to leave one time, didn't we?
Why?
We had to leave the room. He just got real scared.
From what?
I don't remember. But you did better. We went to the bathroom and then we came back and you stayed the rest of the time. Yeah?
Scary and good. I had to put like every minute I put up my hoodie, like this.
Yeah.
So I didn't see the movie, and I slept after like 10 minutes of the movie. I decided to go in Mommy's lap, and then we went to the bathroom to go out, and we came back, and me and Mommy snuggled in my seat.
And we made it through the rest of it.
Okay, morning guys. I am here in the expo hall today. You can see doing a little work on both, again, day job and sort of YouTube-y kind of stuff. They've got some stations set up around here, so there's some areas for STEM and music and arts, health and wellness, I see. Continuing education, which is probably good for work. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff to kind of check out. I went to my first panel, which was about like the values and assumptions and opinions that you build into your products, whether you do it intentionally or not. And so it's probably best for you to think about it and do it intentionally instead of just letting it happen. So that was kind of an interesting conversation about thinking about the impacts of the decision that you make and what underlying assumptions come with those decisions, and that you're sort of pushing on to other people as you do that work. That's actually a really interesting space around sort of product development and how you're making those choices. So I'm definitely curious to dig a little bit more into that as an idea. Got a little bit of free time before my next panel, so I'm going to walk around and check out a couple of the booths and see what's going on here in the expo hall and in the other little expo hall floors. And then there's a little bit of a fire going on back at the office, so I'm waiting on a phone call to go deal with that. So as soon as I get a call, I want to do some firefighting. But for now, I'm just going to kind of wander around and check some cool stuff out. Look at that. With the big spin on the video screens. All right, see you guys in a little bit.
What you would love to see data do for higher education over that time period, because I think we're right on the cusp of a decade where data is suddenly becoming an absolutely integral part of the way universities run, the way they're structured, the way student learning happens, and these are some of the issues that I'd like to explore today. Now,
I still remember I was Vice President for Education and Medical Practice at SAS in the mid-2000s. When those data started coming together, there was huge controversy around electronic medical records and how people were going to use it. But when the finding came out that the number 3 killer of people in the United States turned out to be medical errors, and no one really wanted to, I mean, the medical community went through a Kubler-Rossian denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. They didn't want to kind of wrap their arms around that. But it turned out to be true, and we were spending billions of dollars on cancer research and cardiovascular research, but if we just spent a little bit of effort on fixing medical errors and actually just getting people to wash their hands, put in central lines the right way, not cut off the wrong limb, right? Good things could happen. And I would argue that that began a movement in the world of healthcare where you suddenly had people having access to their charts in a way they never had before. You suddenly saw the movement towards apps and Fitbit and health indicators, where suddenly the patients and the doctors had much more real-time data to change their trajectories. That's happening in education now. And probably because we're now going from a trickle to a stream to a river, where we're now getting, and we just did a white paper at Civitas called A Healthy Move in Education, where we tracked the difference, the similarities between healthcare and education in this regard. But now we're able to pull together SIS, LMS, card swipe, digital curricular resources, and we're starting to see, surprising things, that majority of our universities are losing far more students above 2.0 than below. The majority of our institutions have big chunks of students between 3.0 and 4.0 that they're losing, where it's just surprising findings. And that demography is not destiny. That student engagement is actually far more predictive than the demographic stuff. So what I think is that the education sector, like the others, are now starting to get enough of a digital stream that we can start telling the broader stories of student journeys through higher education in broader ways.
And related to that, the Fitbit piece of things, it's also informing the student. So students didn't know that some of the things that they were doing were actually causing them problems. So if we can start to inform them that students that are successful in this class do these kinds of things and you're really not doing these kinds of things, maybe if you try this, it gives them the chance to help intervene. Just as your doctor would tell you that your blood pressure is too high, these are some of the things that you can do to help affect it.
I think we have to come up with some way of measuring the value add or the learning gain that universities introduce, some sort of benchmark system for measuring teaching quality. Now what they're doing in the UK in the Teaching Excellence Framework is they're going to be measuring 3 proxies for teaching excellence. One is graduate salaries, and that's going to be measured just 6 months after graduation, so very, very early on in the graduate's professional life. Another is completion rates or dropout rates, and the third is student satisfaction. Is there a way, what's your sort of reflection on that attempt being made by the UK government to put a framework over what good teaching looks like at a sector-wide level? Does that strike you as a good idea or mad?
I would say it's mad. I think it's one project I heard about was this researcher, Tom Kane. He did something called Measures of Effective Teaching, where he put cameras in classrooms, in K-12 classrooms, and watched them for like 9 months, and then looked at the value-added measures and the scores to try to figure out, okay, physically, what are the teachers that have higher gains? What are they doing? And getting researchers, like research assistants, to code every different teaching practice. And I think even that, after he completed the project, he sort of admitted that they didn't really find what they were looking for. So if that doesn't work, then I don't see how looking at something across the sector is going to really, I think it depends on what the class is, what the subject material is, who the students are. For those who listened to the keynote this morning, it's about as much as teaching the students who show up as it is teaching the material that you have prepared. So yeah, I don't see how that would actually measure teaching.
Interesting side note about that Tom Kane study is one of the things they found out is the teachers didn't want the cameras out. In the beginning, the teachers did not want the cameras in their classroom, but by the end of the study, they didn't want the cameras out. Because what happened was when the kid did something wrong and the teacher notified the parent the kid did something wrong, the parents would argue their beautiful, wonderful, talented child would never do that, and they would come in and say, let's look at the tape. It changed the dialogue, right? So there are unintended consequences. And I think, that's the essence of it, is when you set out those kind of accountability metrics, you end up with unintended consequences, where you're now going to have universities focusing on doing things that specifically create higher satisfaction rates, high impact jobs when they first get out. And just a good example is here in Texas, the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board can show you data that there's kind of a liberal arts lag, where students, when coming out of liberal arts programs, might not get a great starting salary when they first start, but within 10 years, they actually equal and begin to surpass those students. So what you do is you end up, if that kind of a framework will come in, you have a bunch of students probably leaving liberal arts programs and having your focus on those programs that have high first job salaries. And again, that's where you just have to figure out how you tune and test those metrics. Ohio is a good example because Ohio has put this performance-based funding model in place, and people are jumping to try to respond to performance-based funding. But again, it can cause some unintended consequences, like higher education being less likely to be interested in serving harder to serve students, first-generation students, diverse students. And that's where you just have to be really careful, because you can end up hurting yourselves. What's clear in the U.S. at least is that for us to meet higher education goals, we had to serve more and more diverse students than ever before. And if we get simplistic with some of these measures, we can absolutely kill ourselves in reaching those kind of goals.
Okay, so I just went to a session on the future of data in education, both K-12 and higher ed, and with some sort of thought leaders in the space, talking about what they think is going to happen over the next 5-10 years, and making some predictions, both good and bad, about where things are going to go from a data standpoint, and how we're using data about students, and how we're going to use that to improve learning, and how maybe we're going to do some bad things with that over time too. It's actually a really fascinating space. So I've shot a couple of clips of it. We'll see. Again, I'm sharing these back with Mommy and Presley, and they're, depending on what they do during the week, they're deciding how they're going to incorporate this stuff into their videos. So maybe you'll get a little clip of somebody talking about something that you may have zero interest in whatsoever, but was actually really fascinating to me. As we do with Bite-Sized EDU and with the channels that we use in Presley's homeschooling and the things we do, it's all about people that are passionate about what they're doing. And people, here, in particular, they're passionate about learning and how to improve learning and how to make it better. And there's just nothing I love better. I love being at VidCon and NerdCon and all these places. Like, personally, the Comic-Cons are really amazing spaces. But when you're here doing this kind of stuff with real thought leaders in the space and listening to people that are really trying to do nothing more than find ways to make education work better, and they're passionate about how to do it, and they're thinking of unique and novel approaches to how to make it better. I love it. I totally eat it up. So I'm really excited to be here, and it helps keep me fired up and enthusiastic about my day job, which is in that space. How do we make education better? So I can do it for Presley because it's totally personalized, right? So when I'm working with Presley, all I have to worry about is what she needs to learn and what her next steps are. It's 100% personalized. And so I always say that with my day job, what I'm trying to do is use technology to take what we do for Presley through homeschooling to scale and make it to where a teacher in a classroom or people in an entire institution or a college or whatever can use technology to help them individualize education for the people in their classroom. So it's not a class of students, it's a class of individuals, and that they know something about those individuals, and the technology helps drive forward different little unique things that you can do for each of those students to help make their learning experience better. That's what I want to do. That I absolutely love being around an environment like this where that's happening. So very thankful to get to spend a couple of minutes, and it's nice to be hanging out in Austin a little bit. I still don't want to move back here, but it's nice to spend a couple of minutes at least and spend some time chilling out and eating some barbecue and some breakfast tacos at least. So we'll move on to the next thing. See you guys in a little bit.
Okay, so we are back from Moana, and it was just so good. I have the soundtrack stuck in my head. But yeah, it was super duper amazing. But we've also yesterday, yes, filmed a video on International Women's Month, and I talked about Margaret Hamilton, who is a super duper cool woman. And she's a super huge role model for me, so I did a video about her as well, and it's over on Bite-Sized. As well as over on Bite-Sized, I made a playlist of some of my favorite women in STEM that really inspire me for International Women's Month and International Women's Day. And what's the hashtag again? Her Voice is My Voice. For the Her Voice is My Voice movement. And if you share a video on Wednesday with the hashtag Her Voice is My Voice, YouTube will try and retweet it, and I would like to encourage all of you guys to join in as well to celebrate the absolutely amazing women that have made the world the way it is now. Whoa, hi dog. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Did you say Clyde bye? Clyde say bye?
Night night.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.